This isn't just your everyday face blending robot. This thing's actually got a proximity sensor on the front of it, which tells the creeper just how close it is to an object. And that proximity sensor is connected to the most important feature in this entire project. But first, let me quickly walk you through what it actually took to build this creature. I started by making a design in Fusion 360, but nobody really cares about that. Then I 3D printed each part and glued them all together. Perfect. To make the walking mechanism, I first tore apart an RC car. Then I put the front and back wheels into the feet of the creeper. And finally, it is my first tore apart an RC car. Then I put this creeper. I started by making a design in Fusion 360, but nobody really cares about that. Then I 3D printed each part and glued them all together. Perfect. To make the walking mechanism, I first tore apart an RC car. Then I put the front and back wheels into the feet of the creeper. And finally, I slapped a little paint on the whole thing. And there we have it, a real-life Minecraft creeper. Now you might be saying to yourself, hold up a minute, that ain't no real creeper. A real creeper explodes when it gets close to something. There you have it, a real-life Minecraft creeper. Now you might be saying to yourself, hold up a minute, that ain't no real creeper. A real creeper explodes when it gets close to something. Well everyone, remember that ultrasonic sensor I mentioned a really long time ago? So I actually ended up wiring that sensor to an Arduino, which for those who don't know, is a microcontroller, and I wired the Arduino to an electronic switch, which controlled a coil, which was connected to an explosive. So basically the way it works is whenever something comes within about a foot of the sensor, there's a big boom. At least, as long as something doesn't go wrong. But that's part of why I included this little LED, that way I would know when to an Arduino, which for those who don't know is a microcontroller, and I wired the Arduino to an electronic switch, which controlled a coil, which was connected to an explosive. So basically the way it works is whenever something comes within about a foot of the sensor, there's a big boom. At least, as long as something doesn't go wrong. But that's part of why I included this little LED, that way I would know whenever the coil is triggered, just to make sure I don't accidentally explode myself. Then I installed all the components into the creeper's head. I also packed a little bit of flour in there with hopes it would make the explosion appear much more Minecraft-like. However, when I did this, I went full tiny brain mode and I didn't even think about how exploding the flour could actually create a massive fireball. So maybe don't try this at home, kids.
Now, the creeper's whole purpose is to blow up Steve, so naturally, I made a cardboard Steve. I also made a few blocks so that Steve could build a house. Originally, they were supposed to be planks, but now they're just weird. Alright guys, the time has finally come to blow this thing up. Let's do it. So it's been a few minutes and this thing still hasn't exploded. So remember how I added that LED? It's kind of hard to tell right now, but the LED is actually on. So that means the coil's on. And the only way I can safely figure out what's going on is if I first turn off the coil. Alright, so it turns out that the problem was just the coil came off of the fuse. So now I tightened it back on there, so now it's time to blow this thing up. Same problem, but I fixed it, so now it's finally time to blow this thing up.
Oh. Bro!
The explosion was actually insanely more destructive than I was expecting. Some of the carnage even flew pretty far. And somehow the explosion didn't actually end up turning into a massive fireball, which actually would have been kind of awesome. But the flower actually did end up making the explosion look way cooler. You know guys, I think Steve might have actually been using hacks here because somehow he was able to come out of the explosion from less than a block away totally fine. Definitely using some kind of hacks. Sadly though, all that's left of the creeper is its feet. They did actually move around for a little bit afterwards, which is a little weird, but technically they do still work, and they can go 10 miles an hour when you push them down a hill, just like before. So, what do you guys think I should make next? Should it be like a blaze or a ravager? Maybe a life-size ender dragon? Or maybe even a cow?
I'm making a working Nintendo Switch in Minecraft with playable games. To do this, I'm going to use commands and the Immersive Portals mod. And the Immersive Portals mod is a really cool mod. Alright, so I made this small portal here, and I made that big portal over there. Once I light this up, they should connect, so... See, yeah, there we go. So when I look through here, you see that everything is very, very small and cute. Step number 1 of the build has been finished. Right here we have, well, it looks like just 2 normal oak planks. But if you look closely, there's a very small and cute glass block there. Alright, I think